Hey Crafty fam, it's Alex Vanover and welcome back to my craft room. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make your very own Halloween snow globe. Now this project was inspired by a TikTok that I saw by Frederick's Corner, so I'll be sure to link it down in the description below if you want to go watch the original project. Now let's get into it. So the first step to creating our snow globe is to cut out our vinyl sentiment that we're going to put on the cauldron. So I'm going to begin by adding in a text box and typing in Hocus Pocus. And in fact, I'm going to put those on two different lines since we don't have a ton of space on our cauldron. Then I'm going to highlight the text and change the font to a font that I installed called Nightmare. You can find Nightmare at Creative Fabrica. I can link it for you guys in the description below. It is such a fun and super cute Halloween font. So once it looks like this, then we need to reformat this so that, of course, it looks a little bit better before we cut it out. So I'm going to begin by ungrouping all the letters so that I can move them around, maybe even offset them a little bit just so that we give them a little bit of style. Since they are ungrouped, we do have to click and draw a box around everything so that we can move it. I think something like that looks kind of fun. Maybe I'll move down Pocus just a hair, and then we will size it for our cauldron. I also may move the letters apart just a little bit, just because these are going to be such small cuts. I want to make sure there's a little tiny bit of space between all of the letters. And I think that that looks perfect. So first I'm going to click and drag a box around everything and attach them. Then I need to go ahead and size them for my cauldron. So I figured out the width that I want to make them is 3 inches wide. And that's actually perfect because I was looking at a max height of 1.5 inches. So that already ended up being perfect. Also, just for visual sake, I'll turn my letters into green because I'm going to be cutting this out of lime green Starcraft HD. It's such a pretty and fun Halloween color. I just couldn't resist. So once you have your text typed out and it's all ready to go, next we can click the green Make It button. And I'm going to be using my Cricut Maker 3, so it's going to ask me whether or not I'm using a matte. I'm going to be using a matte for Starcraft HD, so I'll click Done. And then I'll click Continue. And once my machine connects, I'll go ahead and choose my cut setting. I'm going to choose the vinyl cut setting for Starcraft HD because it works perfectly for my machine every single time. So let's hop over to my craft table and let me show you how I cut Starcraft HD on my Cricut Maker 3. So once you grab your lime green Starcraft HD, I like to cut out a little piece that matches the size of my decal so that I'm not sticking the whole sheet on the mat every single time. So I cut a piece that's just a little bit taller and a little bit wider than the cut I plan to make, and I'm going to position it in the upper left-hand corner of my cutting mat. And I like to use a green standard grip cutting mat whenever I cut vinyl, but the light grip blue mat will work as well. Then you can open up your Cricut machine and slide your mat underneath the white rollers and click the flashing arrows. Since I have the Cricut Maker 3, it's going to actually measure my mat by taking the whole thing in the machine. And then when it's ready, the middle go button will flash. And once your design is finished, you can unload it using the arrow button. And now it's time to weed our vinyl and apply it to our snow globe base. I'm going to be weeding my vinyl using my pin pen weeding tool because it is my absolute favorite tool for weeding basically anything because it's just like holding on to a pen. Since this font does have some little curls and stuff in the letters, we'll want to go nice and slow and make sure that we don't pull any of those curls and distort them. Next, it's time to apply our transfer tape. I'm gonna be using the clear medium tack from 143 Vinyl. That is my absolute favorite transfer tape of all time because it's super not sticky and makes it super easy to apply to your blank. So I just like to pull a little bit of transfer tape out and then actually take my decal to the transfer tape like this. Then I can trim it away from the rest of the transfer tape. And burnish well or rub it with the squeegee. Since vinyl is pressure sensitive, it does need some pressure from a squeegee in order to activate the adhesive and of course to make the transfer tape stick to the vinyl so that we can transfer it over to our base. I found two different things that I think would work really well as a snow globe base. Both of these are like little mini candy buckets from Walmart. Here's the tag in case you want to see. It says mini treat pail and they were 74 cents a piece. So super inexpensive and perfect for this project. And what I did is I'm going to be using the Cauldron and I just popped the strap out of the sides right here and right here and it's perfect. And this would work just the same way. And what I'm going to do is flip over my vinyl and transfer tape and remove the backing from the vinyl. If any of those little parts come up, just make sure that you push the backing back down, rub over it with your finger, and then keep pulling it. Go nice and gently so that you see if anything is pulling away. Then I'm going to apply my vinyl and transfer tape in my favorite method, which is kind of holding my fingers like this and keeping my vinyl and transfer tape in sort of a horseshoe motion. And the way this is gonna work is I'm gonna stick the center to the Cauldron, then I'm gonna let down one side and then the other. You'll also notice that I have some slits cut in my transfer tape. Sometimes this is helpful when you're working around a curved surface so that you can work down the vinyl in small parts at a time. You can do this if you want to, but that's an optional step. I normally like to use a squeegee to balance my Cauldron, but I found that for this shape, it doesn't work too well since the Cauldron is so rounded. So I think I'm just gonna hold it in my hands like this. Then I'll hold the vinyl and transfer tape in my fingers and I'll apply it just like I showed you. But it goes kind of fast in this direction, so I wanted to show you before I did it. So I'll set down my center like this, and then I'll let down one side and then the other side. But it's a little bit like applying vinyl to a Christmas ornament. Sometimes it takes a little bit of work to get it to lay down the way that you want it to. We'll actually add another slit right here. There we go. And I found that with shapes like this, it can be really tricky, so I just usually like to rub it down with my fingers. That way I can work it a little bit at a time. And then once everything seems well stuck, I can go in with my squeegee and burnish over top of my vinyl and transfer tape. Then I'll just peel back the transfer tape, nice and slow. And I got a little bit of a wrinkle there in my piece, so what I'll do is lift it up with my stab and grab tweezers and just try to rework the vinyl before it's been stuck for too long and get any of those wrinkles out. That's much better. So now that our vinyl is applied to our base, let's set this aside and create our snow globe. I'm gonna be using this DIY snow globe that I got from Dollar Tree last year. I just happened to have this one laying around and I thought it would be perfect for this project since that's exactly what you use it for. But if you don't have a DIY snow globe from Dollar Tree, a plastic Dollar Tree ornament will work really, really great for this as well. And I'll show you how to seal it off when we get to that point. So I want you to begin by using whatever you're going to use for the globe of your snow globe, and I want you to fill it with warm water. Okay, so it's also important that we note that you need to fill it as full as you possibly can get it to where the lid is going to screw on. So my snow globe has a lid that's going to go up inside the threads. So I filled my snow globe all the way until I got around this rim. If you're going to be using an ornament like this, you need to fill it until it won't hold any more water so that the water reaches as close to the cap at the edge as possible. Then I want you to have 2 red solo cups, or in my case, green solo cups, and a Sharpie. And this is how we are going to measure out the solution that we need to go in our snow globe. So I'm gonna start by pouring my warm water into one of my cups. That way we get an exact volume for how much water our globe is going to hold. Then what you're going to do is take a Sharpie, and I want you to mark on the side of the cup where the water hits. In my case, mine is basically up to the white rim, so I'm not gonna add a Sharpie line for the top, but if yours doesn't go all the way to the top, be sure to mark the side of the cup so you have a line. Then, before you pour anything out, I want you to go on the side of the cup, and I want you to mark 2 lines in the middle that are even. So basically, we're breaking this cup into thirds. So if your line was here, then you'd want to put 1/3 line maybe about here, and another 1/3 line down here. And that's the way that we're going to create our solution. So I know you guys can't see the side of my cup, but I'm just going to eyeball. Let me mark this cup as well, so I can show you a visual for what I'm talking about. Okay, so if these lines basically divide my cup into thirds, I need the second solo cup because I'm going to pour my water out until I get my original cup down to this first line so that we have 2/3 of our water left. And of course, the line on the outside is just gonna allow you to estimate, but especially if you have these rings on the side of your cup, that can help because you can count how many rings down you need to pour. And this is why I have newspaper down, because I anticipated that I'm gonna spill a little bit of my water. I think that looks about like it's got 2/3 left in my cup. Now, I want you to take the cup again, and I want you to divide the top third in 2 sections, 2 equal sections, okay? So I'm gonna do this on my other cup as well. I just wanna show you that this is the top third, and I want you to put another mark in the middle and divide it into 2 sections, because we're gonna fill that top section up with 2 different things. So going from my 1/3 line to this line, I'm going to fill it with rubbing alcohol. And this is just my demonstration cup. This is my actual water cup. So I'm gonna fill this one up to that first line with rubbing alcohol. Okay, if I hold it up to the light, I might be able to see. Yeah, I think that's pretty close. And the percentage of the rubbing alcohol doesn't really matter, so don't worry about that. Then I'm gonna fill up from this second line all the way up to my top line with vegetable glycerin. Vegetable glycerin is something you can find at Walmart. I got this little bottle from there, except by the time I practiced, 6 ounces really wasn't enough. So if you get yours from Walmart, I recommend getting a little bit more. But this is vegetable glycerin that I found in the pharmacy. So now I'm just gonna take that bottle and I'm gonna fill up the cup the rest of the way, which is where my top line would have been, using this glycerin. And the reason we have to create a solution like this is because this is gonna help the glitter move a lot better in our snow globe than if we just filled it with water. Water will work, but this is gonna hold the glitter in the water for longer, and it's gonna look cooler this way. So once all of the glycerin is in your cup and you've got a solution up to the top line that you drew on your cup with the Sharpie, next you wanna take a popsicle stick and stir it all together. And we're gonna stir this again in a couple of minutes, but it doesn't hurt to go ahead and get started. All right, now we'll set this aside. Well, we are actually adding glitter to our globe. So this is getting to the fun part. And next I've got my little cauldron holding on to my snow globe upside down. I'm not gonna need to use a funnel to get glitter into my globe because it has a really big opening, but I did get this 3-pack of funnels at Dollar Tree. There's only 2 showing here, but there's 3 in the pack. And these are really helpful if you're using an ornament so that you don't get glitter all over the place. Now let me show you all of the combination of Starcraft glitter colors that I'm using for this snow globe because it is about to be an epic Halloween party going on in this snow globe. So first of all, I'm going to be using the holographic black color called Volcano, as well as some chunky glitter called Grape Slush. Then I'm going to use a metallic purple called Beach Twilight, along with an orange called Goldfish. And then the last 2 colors that I'm gonna use are a chunky lime green called Limeade and creamsicle neon orange. I think these colors are gonna look so much fun together, swirling around in this globe. So I don't have any specific measurements for this glitter. We're just going to measure with our heart and basically dump a bunch in. I would say, in the end, we'd probably want to do about a half a teaspoon per color, but that's just an estimate. Really, you can use whatever you think works well and looks good. I don't think that I've ever seen a snow globe with too much glitter in it. You know what I'm saying? All right, so I'm just using the open-ended side for the chunky glitter to make sure that it can all go in. All right, let's shake this around and see what we think about how it looks. See if we think anything in particular is missing. No, I think that looks pretty good. I might add a little bit more of the chunky glitter just to make sure there's a good variety of texture. Whoops, that's the metallic. We want to make sure there's a good variety of texture floating around in our snow globe. Okay, so the way that science works, you guys probably already guessed that since we've taken up some of the volume of our globe with glitter, we're not gonna need quite as much water as we had before, but we just wanted to be prepared with an even proportion. And once it's all mixed up, it won't matter if we use the whole cup or not when we pour it back in. So now that we're actually getting ready to pour it all back in the globe, we do wanna give it another mix with our popsicle stick. A nice, good, thorough mix so that everything is all together. You want to make sure to get like in the bottom and everything with your stick. Okay. I think it's looking pretty good. All right, so I'm going to put the funnel into my snow globe and I'm gonna fill it as high as I can on the snow globe. So like I was saying before, I need to try to fill it up right to about this lip here on the side. Since this little lid is going to go up inside the snow globe, I wanna fill it as close to that top as I can so that I don't have a huge air bubble in the top. So I'm gonna use my small funnel here. I might have to hold it upright so it doesn't fall, but hopefully this will prevent me from pouring water all over the table, but we'll see. So now I'm gonna pour my blended solution down into my snow globe. Oh my gosh, you guys, this already looks so cool. I wish you could see it. Okay, we're getting close, so I'm gonna bend down and make sure that I don't overfill my cup or overfill my globe. We've got some like bubbles going on in the top. Okay guys, so I have to be honest, I came back and added another clip to this video because after I put my snow globe together, I learned that these big mats of glitter are not gonna go away. They're like air bubbles or something like that. So if you get any clumps of glitter like I did, what you wanna do is take your popsicle stick and actually fish those out like this. See, they're just like big clumps of glitter that distract from all of the pretty glitter floating around in the snow globe. So you'll just want to get rid of those so that all of your glitter flows really nicely. I don't know what it is that makes that stuff clump together, so I can't give you any insight on that. I just know that if you see it, you will definitely want to get rid of it. All right, now let's talk about sealing up your snow globe. So with this snow globe, what you want to do is add the insert back down into the opening, like this. And ideally, water should kind of be pushing up against the bottom, so that we get as little air in there as possible. Then we have this white cap from the snow globe that we will screw all the way around it. Now, if you decided to use an ornament for your craft, let me show you how you would seal this up. So I recommend grabbing a water bottle from one of these plastic like 16.9 ounce water bottles and hot gluing that cap and twisting it onto the ornament. Now that's an original idea from the TikTok I told you guys about that inspired this project. So I want to give full credit to the creator who came up with that because I did not. But it should work really, really well. I would probably hot glue maybe around the outside of it as well, or super glue it. Then when it's time to add your globe into the base, here's what I recommend you do. So of course, flip your base over so that the bottom of it is stuck inside the cauldron or the jack-o'-lantern, whatever you decided to go with. And then I would use your super glue of choice, and you're basically gonna put it around the seam of the cauldron and the globe, essentially kind of like your caulking tile. So I'm just gonna remove the tip of the liquid fusion. And I can't really hold it like this while I glue it, but you're gonna basically put your glue all the way around that edge, and then we'll clean it up with a paper towel when we're finished. Just because this cauldron doesn't really have much of a lip. It's very, very thin, and I don't think any of the glue that I was putting in there was actually staying in the lip. So I'd recommend doing it this way. Because as long as you move pretty quickly, the paper towel does remove most of the residue. And even speaking, I mean, this is still a pretty top heavy project. So even after you glue it, you are gonna wanna be careful with it that you're not, you know, picking it up by the base or anything like that, because it's still super top heavy. So the glue probably won't hold like crazy, but luckily this is a plastic globe. So should you drop it or anything happens to it, it should not break and shatter like glass would. So then to clean up our edge, I'm just gonna take a paper towel and fold it and kind of drive this corner all the way around those edges like this to clean up any of that glue residue. And then once you're done cleaning up those edges, just make sure that you allow your snow globe to dry in the base before you try shaking it, but you're all finished. If you want to make your very own Halloween snow globe just like mine, I'll link all the materials and supplies that I used down in the description below. And if you've made it this far in the video, then I really want to get to know you on social media. So please search for me at DIY Alex Vanover on pretty much all major social media platforms. I'll also put direct links to my profiles down in the description below. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more just like it, then be sure to subscribe to the DIY Alex YouTube channel and be sure to ring the bell so that you get notified every single time that I put out a new video every single week. But don't wait for next week's video. Be sure to check out this one next. Or if you want to make your DIY dreams come true, be sure to check out this video. I know that you're going to love it.